The VapePassion Show, episode 72. In this episode, we're going to talk about an e-juice review of s'mores from Loaded e-liquid, how to get free concentrates from realflavors.com, a quick update, a fix for the e-leaf eye care mini not firing, an old-fashioned vape review of the Aspire CF Max, Naked 100 counterfeits hitting the market, a new mouth-to-lung online store from Phil Basardo, Dimitri Segrafiotis, and Shell Hamill. A 9-year-old in Canada drank e-juice and suffered nicotine poisoning. How to heat steep e-juice using water in a small saucepan. And vaping makes an appearance in the new Foo Fighter music video. Hey, welcome back to the VapePassion Show. I'm Alex and this is episode 72. I'm recording this on Sunday, June 3rd. If you're planning on buying a vape product anytime soon and you want to support this show, go to vapepassion.com/vendors and buy from one of those links. There are more than 50 vendors, popular vendors listed there. I'll get a small commission for referring you, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. If you're watching this on YouTube and you don't want to watch this whole show, keep an eye out for the individual segments to go up on YouTube in the next couple of days. I do this so my subscribers can watch the topics that they're interested in, and also so that my videos are more easily found when random people search YouTube. Okay, so let's talk about new vape gear. So last week I mentioned that I would be getting the VapeFly Nicholas MTL tank. Well, I got it early last week, and I've been using it pretty much nonstop. I actually really like it. The flavor is really good, and the airflow is very, very restricted, which is exactly what a mouth-to-lung tank needs. You can really close down the airflow on this tank. I think the smallest hole on here is even more restricted than the Nautilus Mini. Now, this tank isn't perfect, though. For one, it's hard to take the top cap off to fill the tank without also removing the chimney. That chimney is connected to the coil, and if you take that whole thing off, the tank will pretty much fall apart. So you have to make sure that the chimney is really tight so that it doesn't come off, which means you will need something like pliers to get some leverage to tighten it or loosen it. Either that, or you'll need to be very careful about not over tightening all of the top cap and everything in there. Whenever I've had a tank like this in the past, no matter how hard I try, I always over tighten everything by accident, just from daily use or putting this tank on different devices. So that's one drawback. The other drawback that I get from this tank is spitback. Now I don't mind spitback, but I know that a lot of people do, so that's another con. But it's actually a really nice tank that I'm enjoying so far. And like I mentioned last week, I wanted to add some new segments to this show, one of them being a review of an old product. So I did order some new things, old things, and they came in, and I'm not going to tell you what those things are because I want to keep it a surprise, and I'll just let you know each week what it is. But this week we'll be taking a look at the Aspire CF Max mod, so stick around for that. I also ordered a bunch of DIY concentrates, not a ton, but enough to make 3 different recipes. I also bought a bunch of pear flavors from different brands. For example, I bought pear concentrates from The Perfumer's Apprentice, Flavor West, Inawera, Flavor Art, and that's it. And the only one that I didn't buy was from Flavora, because it was $6 for a 50 ml bottle. Now that's not a ton, but compared to $1.50 for other concentrates, it is. And I wanted to keep my order at that time around $20, so I left it out. Anyway, my hope is to compare them all as a single flavored e-juice. I won't be doing that this week, but I'm hoping either maybe next week or 2 weeks from now. So I think that's all the new stuff that I got in, so let's get into the topics this week. So let's start with an e-juice review of s'mores by Loaded e-juice. So I received s'mores for free for the purpose of this review, which you can tell because the label has sample on it. S'mores is from a company named Loaded, which is actually manufactured by Ruthless Vapor out of Southern California. I recently reviewed their glazed donuts e-juice a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was pretty good. Not amazing, but good. So let's see how this one stacks up. This bottle is 3 milligrams nicotine, but it also comes in 0 milligrams and 6 milligrams nicotine. It's a 70 VG 30 PG e-juice and comes only in 120 ml bottles for a suggested retail price of $35, but I have seen it as low as $15. So Loaded's description for s'mores says, flaky, cinnamon-dusted graham crackers provide a delicious base to this childhood treat flavor. Sweet, creamy marshmallows squished beneath rich milk chocolate bring it all together in a vape that is sure to bring back memories. All right, so let's give it a smell. I don't know. It does smell sweet. I get chocolate smell, not so much s'mores. I guess I can kind of see where all of those flavors that make a s'more come into play here. It doesn't smell like s'mores, but it smells like chocolate and marshmallow, sort of. I don't know, hard to explain, but let's give it a taste. So for this review, I'm using the Predator 228 with the Icon RDA on top. It's built at 0.29 ohms, and I'll be starting at 110 watts. So 3 milligrams nicotine, the throat hit is not harsh at all. Very, very smooth. The flavor is very smooth too. It's not strong. It is sweet, but it's not overpowering in any way. None of the flavors are overpowering. I get some sweetness, maybe a little bit of marshmallow in there, just a slight hint of chocolate, and I maybe get some graham crackers. I'm not really sure. I don't know if I could say that it tastes like s'mores, but I do get all of those flavors in there, just a slight hint of them, and it is pretty good. So the price on Loaded's website is $35 for a 120 ml bottle, which doesn't seem too bad, but you can find it all over the place online for around $20. I've even seen it as low as $15, so look around for a good deal. All right, now let's talk about how to get free concentrates from realflavors.com. So realflavors.com is a Troy, Michigan-based flavor concentrate manufacturer. They specialize in custom flavor creation made in an FDA-certified lab. These guys do some really cool things too. They have both PG and VG-based options, and they also clearly mark their concentrates if they because they test for diacetyl, acetylpropanil, and acetone. So just recently, they've been doing free bottle giveaways. I don't know how long they've been doing this, but I've seen it 2 or 3 times in the last couple of months. I caught the first two too late, and they ran out of e-juice, or ran out of concentrates. But I did happen to catch their most recent one, and I got 3 samples for free, minus the cost of shipping. And these are 1 ounce bottles, which is about 30 milliliters, so that's a decent sized bottle for free. From what I've seen, they typically do 3 to 6 flavors for each giveaway. The one that I just did, I got 3. So the order that I have coming in were concentrates for cinnamon roll, taffy base, and watermelon. So pretty good flavors. I got all of those for free, which is a savings of about $20, and I picked the cheapest shipping option, which cost me around $4, and I think that's a really good deal. So you'll find these deals on their promo items page, which I'll link to in the show notes because it's not easy to find on their website. So keep an eye out on that page for updates, and they still have these available on their site right now. So hopefully they're still available or in stock if you want to pick some up this week. And if you want to catch these giveaways, I would recommend following the owner's account on eliquidrecipes.com. I'll also link to that in the show notes. And you should also subscribe to their newsletter because they might announce the giveaways there too. All right, now I want to provide a quick update, a fix for the eLeaf iCare Mini not firing. So I take this with me to work just about every single day. Well, just randomly, last week, the iCare stopped working. It acted like the battery was completely dead, so I put it on the charger and charged it all the way up. But when I took a hit, the green light would still light up in here, but it wouldn't actually fire. So I thought it was completely dead, but I looked around online and I found that people were saying that sometimes the coils are not connecting properly. So I took the entire coil pipe out, screwed it back in, and that seemed to do the trick. I saw people also saying that the top and bottom of the device seems to lose connection internally. So if that happens, you need to squeeze the top and bottom together, push it real tight together, and I guess that fixes the connection. So I haven't had this for that long, so it sucks that it's having issues like this, but if you do own one and you have problems with it, hopefully those tips will fix it. All right, now let's do an old-fashioned vape review of the Aspire CF Max. So the CF Max is something that came out in early 2015, and I was really excited about it. I still remember posting the marketing material on my Twitter account, but the CF Max was really expensive at $75, and vapor technology, it moved so fast in 2015 that this device just quickly became outdated, so I never ended up buying one. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I randomly saw a deal for the CF Max for only $10, so I bought it. 3000 milliamp hour, 50 watt adjustable, so it goes up to 50 watts. Not a whole lot, but it can handle a lot of tanks that don't require a lot of wattage. Nice packaging, and there's a picture here on the outside that shows what the device looks like on the inside. Haven't even opened it yet, still got the tape on there. There's nothing else in the tube, just the mod. Now that is a massive device for a regulated tube mod. This has a built-in, non-removable battery. Very nice looking though. CF stands for carbon fiber, in case you're wondering. So there's a little window on the bottom to show you what wattage you're at. The wheel moves very smoothly, no clicking. It goes in 5 watt increments, and there are little dots in between those increments for each single wattage. Now here on the top of the device where the atomizer connects, it looks like you'd be able to unscrew it, but it doesn't unscrew. This device doesn't have a screen, so there's no way of knowing what ohms you're at or anything like that. The way these old Aspire products worked is that you'd be notified of anything happening on the device by the different types of blinks on the button. So this puts out a maximum voltage of 4.2 volts. It's variable wattage of 5 to 50 watts. It supports an atomizer resistance of 0.3 ohms to 5 ohms. It's 510 compatible, and the diameter of the device is 30 millimeters, so a very large diameter mod. It has a 3000 milliamp hour built-in rechargeable battery, adjustable wattage with the dial. It has stainless steel end points, a stainless steel firing button, a black carbon fiber coated body, spring-loaded atomizer contact point, so that 510 pin is spring-loaded, and it has safety vent holes on the bottom on the dial. The device does have overcharge protection, short circuit protection, safety cutoff protection, and low voltage protection. And you turn it on and off with the button. 5 clicks on, 5 clicks off. Now to charge this, you can't just use a normal USB. You have to buy a special charger from Aspire that screws into the top of the CF Max. This is a pretty big device, so 30 millimeters. So if you want it to look good, you'll need a big atomizer. When I put a 22 or 24 millimeter atomizer on there, it looks pretty funny. It would be nice to find something that fits exactly flush. I do have a 30 millimeter mech mod with a matching RDA so that I can demonstrate what a large atomizer would look like on here. This RDA is specially designed for the mech mod, so it won't screw onto the CF Max, but it'll just give you a good idea of what the CF Max would look like with a 30 millimeter atomizer on top. So yeah, there's really not a whole lot to the CF Max. It fires atomizers built as low as 0.3 ohms, it fires up to 50 watts, and the 3000 milliamp battery is decent and should last a good amount of time throughout the day, especially since the wattage doesn't really go that high. One of the biggest drawbacks is the size. It's huge and heavy and probably not very comfortable to carry around. It's also a 30 millimeter diameter device, which means you'll need a 30 millimeter diameter atomizer if you want it to at least look somewhat decent. Something to note is that the CF Max launched with the Aspire Atlantis Mega Tank, which is a 30 millimeter tank. So if you pick up a CF Max, look for the Atlantis Mega Tank too. If I ever see a deal for that tank for, I don't know, around maybe $5 to $10, I might pick it up just to put on here. Honestly though, I don't think you should go out and buy this for one big reason. It has an internal battery. I'm sure many shops right now are trying to clear out their inventory for these because the internal batteries in here are now getting pretty old, about 2 years old. So who knows how long the battery will last. And when it dies, that's it. You can't replace the battery. But for $10 and for something that I really wanted a long time ago, I'm happy that I bought it. All right, moving on to the next topic. So Naked 100 counterfeit e-juice are hitting the market. So USA Vape Lab, the creators of the Naked 100 line, sent out a notice to customers that counterfeit versions of their e-juice are on the market now. They posted a picture showing how to identify a counterfeit bottle from an authentic bottle. So to tell the difference, 1, authentic bottles have a clear anti-tamper seal, while the fake has the words USA Vape Lab printed on it. 2, the label has minor quality issues. For example, the details are not as precise or refined, and some of the design on the fake is a lot darker, the printing, probably because they're using a lower quality printer. 3, the label on the fake has a wide space in the back. 4, the label on the fake is missing the caution paragraph on the back. 5, the color of the e-liquid of the authentic is clear, while the fake is amber colored. And they have added 2 new features to help you identify authentic bottles in the future. So the words USA Vape Lab is embossed on the bottom of the bottle, and the neck of the bottle will now be stamped with the words USA Vape Lab. So those are 2 new features. So if you don't see them on your bottle of e-juice, that doesn't mean that you have a fake, but it's just something to keep an eye out on for new bottles coming out now. Counterfeiting has been around for a long time, but it's usually on hardware, not with e-juice. Stealing e-juice recipes from sites like eliquidrecipes.com and selling it isn't unheard of. People do it, but stealing a recipe along with the label and, just word for word, the design and everything, that's something I've never seen and is definitely illegal. And what's scary about this is who knows what's in it. And it's also really bad for the Naked 100 reputation. If someone buys the fake and they don't like it, they'll think that it's a terrible e-juice and they'll never buy it again. And they might even give it a bad review online, not realizing that it's actually a fake and not the real thing. There are several Naked 100 clone recipes on the internet, which I think is fine because these are people's best guesses at these recipes, not the exact recipe. But to take one of those recipes and counterfeit it and sell the e-juice and counterfeit all the way down to the label, even the wrapper, that's just too far. I've actually reviewed a couple of Naked 100's e-juices and I know that they're real because I received them by hand directly from them at a vape convention last year. The 2 that I've tried are really, really good. They know how to make a quality e-juice, so it really sucks to see this happening to these guys. Okay, and I mentioned earlier that I was vaping the new VapeFly Nicholas tank, which is a mouth-to-lung tank. And there are a lot of people who love mouth-to-lung vaping, so I wanted to mention a new mouth-to-lung online store from Phil Basardo, Dimitris Agrafiotis, and Shell Hamill. You'll find a new site at mtlvapors.com, and that's vapors with an O. This is an online vape store that specializes in helping to introduce smokers to vaping. All of the hardware and the e-liquids on the site are designed specifically for mouth-to-lung vaping and are most likely to appeal to smokers transitioning to vaping. For example, they sell e-juices from Mountain Oak Vapors, the Vapor Bar, and B e-liquids. Most of the flavors consist of various tobacco blends, also some coffee flavors and menthols. And Phil's line, B e-liquids, has a little bit more variety in flavors. For example, he has a flavor of coconut vanilla yogurt and also a peach watermelon. But something to note, about his line is that his e-juices are made with 60 PG, 40 VG, which gives it a little bit more throat hit. And also that thin PG gives it better wicking ability, which is good for mouth-to-lung vapes. So the hardware that they sell are all great setups for beginners. You'll find a lot of all-in-one setups, pod-based setups, high-quality vape pens like the Inokin Endura T18, and a few more powerful devices, but still beginner-friendly, like the Coolfire 4 Plus. And they've also created a few bundles too, so that it's really easy for a new person to jump right in and get everything they need right at once. They've made the site very easy to understand, and they've also removed a lot of the more advanced and confusing aspects of vaping. There are a couple of informational pages to get new users familiar with some of the terminology, also how vape technology works, the ingredients that are used, and safety concerns. I really wish a site like this existed when I first started vaping. It's a really great idea, and I'll definitely be mentioning it to any smoker that I meet from now on. And now for some unfortunate news out of Canada. A 9-year-old in Canada drank e-juice and suffered nicotine poisoning. So a young girl in Fredericton, New Brunswick found herself in the hospital after she found a bottle of e-juice on the playground and then drank it. The bottle of e-juice was called Unicorn Milk from a company called New Beginnings Vape Studio, also out of Fredericton. So this girl and her friends, they found this bottle on the playground and they saw that the bottle had a cartoon unicorn on the label. They smelled it, they thought it smelled good, so they tasted it. Shortly afterwards, the 9-year-old girl started suffering from nausea, dizziness, and chest cramps. The girl's mother, Leah Lore, learned that her daughter had drinking e-liquid. Then she looked up the effects of nicotine poisoning online, and she did decide to take her daughter to the hospital. Medical staff then confirmed that she did have nicotine poisoning. She was released later that night. No other news about the other girls has been released, or whether or not they also got sick. But in light of the situation, the owner of New Beginnings has said that he is considering changing the label. And if you go to their website now, all pictures of their unicorn milk line have been taken down. There's no word of how the bottle of e-juice ended up on the playground. It could be that someone just accidentally dropped it as they were walking through. But this now brings up the controversy of e-liquid labels, candy flavors, and their appeal to children. Now, obviously, this is a freak accident and not at all common, but it definitely brings up the question whether or not it's okay to have cartoony labels. I've argued in the past that cartoons on labels should be allowed because e-juices can only be purchased by adults in a vape shop or in a store with an ID. But I've changed my mind since then, and not just because of this story, but because I've come to realize that these labels, they're just not necessary. And really, they only harm the reputation of the industry. And I know that people will argue that it's up to the parents to lock up e-juice so that kids can't get into it. But, accidents like this happen, and kids are resourceful. If they want to get into it, they'll find a way. And if kids see a cartoon label and something that smells like candy, they're going to want to taste it. And that's why manufacturers of toxic cleaning products don't put labels on their bottles that look like cartoons or that look appealing to kids. I really don't know what the answer is, but I think an e-juice company can make an appealing label that doesn't have cartoons and other child-friendly characters on it. But that still might not stop a kid from drinking it. Child safety caps work for little kids, but not for 9-year-olds. So is the answer to put a large toxic warning on the label? I don't know. What do you think? Alright, moving on. How to steep e-juice using water in a small saucepan. Last week I talked about the new Night Court e-liquid mixer, and I received a comment from one of my subscribers who goes by the name of Icy Lies. I think that's how you say it, and if not, I'm sorry, Icy Lies. Iclees, I don't know. Anyway, she gave me a great tip on how she does heated steeping for her DIY liquid mixes, and I thought it would be a great tip to share. So first, if you're new to DIY and you're wondering what steeping is, it's basically the process of aging the e-liquid faster. This aging process helps the ingredients to combine or blend together. It also brings out fuller flavors quicker. So this process will happen no matter what. If you leave your e-juice on a shelf, it will still steep, but it will take longer. So here's her process of speed steeping with heat. So 1, it's best to heat steep using glass bottles rather than plastic. 2, while you're mixing, heat up tap water in a small saucepan on the stove. Don't add nicotine yet. 3, when you're done mixing, turn off the stove and set your bottles down in the water with the caps off. And 4, wait 15 to 20 minutes, take the bottles out of the water and add nicotine. Voila, that's it. Pretty easy. So let's talk about all of this really quick. Now, the reason you want to remove the cap is because it allows oxygen into the bottle to more quickly oxidate flavor molecules, which increases the speed of aging. And this also helps to evaporate excess ethanol from some flavorings. And you don't want the water to be boiling. High heat will damage flavor concentrates and nicotine. Now, in the steps that I just mentioned, we've left nicotine out, and that's because nicotine degrades more easily in high heat than concentrated flavorings do. Leaving that nicotine out will allow you to steep the e-juice in warmer water. If you want to steep with nicotine in the bottle, according to Nude Nicotine, you should steep in room temperature water at around 20 to 30 degrees Celsius or 68 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Nude Nicotine says that this will allow the e-juice to steep faster without damaging the nicotine. This will speed up the steeping process by several days, which can save a lot of time. General recommendations for slow steeping, which is pretty much just letting the bottle sit in a dark place at room temperature, that's about 2 weeks. So this quick heat steeping method will let you get to that point of optimal flavor much quicker. So great tip, Icy Lies, and thanks so much for sharing it with me. And if I got your name wrong, please let me know. And finally, vaping makes an appearance in a new Foo Fighter music video. So the Foo Fighters just released their music video for their song called Run, and near the end of the video, vaping gets some of the spotlight. I can't play the song here, or I might get in trouble for not having permission to use it, copyright strike, so you'll just have to look it up if you want to listen to it. The song is actually pretty heavy. Lots of screaming, but it does still stick to that traditional Foo Fighter sound too. And like most Foo Fighter videos, it's pretty funny. The band is basically senior citizens in an old folks home playing a show. The residents, they start moshing, they go nuts, and they run out into the streets, and they eventually come across a parked car with a group of young people vaping. The old people, they pull the hipsters out of the car. One of the old men, he rips off one of the guy's man buns and then grabs his vape and takes a huge rip. It looks like the Smoke TFV8 or TFV12, which is pretty funny. Anyway, yeah, go check it out. Okay, so that's all I have for this week. You'll find the show notes for this episode on VapePassion.com. Just do a search for episode 72. If you want to support the show, consider donating to my Patreon page at patreon.com/VapePassion. You can follow me on Twitter at VapePassion, and I'm also on Facebook if you want to leave me a comment. If you like this weekly show, please consider giving me a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. You can also subscribe to the podcast version of the show on either iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play. If you'd like to get notifications of new reviews or of the show, you can sign up to receive my weekly email on VapePassion.com. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me anytime at alex@VapePassion.com. All right, I'll see you next week.